In this field, my colleague Prithvi, whose name literally means the earth, is harvesting a rich, rich crop of turmeric, haldi, which is critical to our food. Haldi, or turmeric, is an extremely strong natural antibiotic. A few years ago, the antibiotic use of this haldi was patented. And the patent said, buy haldi in your kitchen store. You can buy the haldi in your kitchen store, but it'll belong to our patent. You'll have to pay us. The reason they patented it was because antibiotics are failing. Haldi is not failing us. We use it when we have infection. We use it in our cooking so that every day it is protecting our health. It is a beautiful, beautiful Ayurvedic medicine, also a food. In Indian diet, there is no division between food and medicine. It's all one beautiful continuum. And we have other root crops here, the arbi, which we use for wonderful, wonderful vegetables. We have ginger. We have 3 varieties of the sacred basil, the tulsi. This too has been patented. We worship the tulsi in our backyard. Every home in India will have a tulsi pot. And when we worship, we say, in you I will assume the cosmos resides. And I will pay you reverence, to pay reverence to this amazing creation. We use the leaves in winter for coughs and colds. The tea from this, mint tea, is wonderful. This too has been patented. In fact, every 3rd crop in our fields, there's a patent sitting in US patent offices. But for us, this is a freedom zone. We will keep these crops free for future generations.
And now, with genetic engineering, when you see that, without much democratic decision-making at all, a few scientists and companies are trying to change the genetic makeup, the permanent genetic makeup of all living things, all those things that we love so dearly, and change them forever in a way we can never get back. It seems to me the only thing you can do is to fight this and to say these plants, these animals deserve their genetic integrity. They are things of great beauty. They are things that were made either through divine intervention or millennia and millions of years of evolution. We have no right for profit or for research to change them fundamentally. They deserve to be loved and protected. And that's why I do what I do.
As a lawyer and author, Andrew Kimbrell battles his way through all the issues raised by the new genetic technology. Kimbrell heads the Center for Food Safety in Washington, D.C., and endeavors especially to educate and provide information to consumers.
I get to browbeat an employee now in front of everything. Yeah, these slides are very interesting here. Now this is an interesting slide. What you have here, in 1982, Dr. Ralph Brinster at the University of Pennsylvania said, what if I can take the gene responsible for growth in human beings and put it into a mouse? And he did just that. He actually was successful. And as you can see, the very large mouse here is the one that has successfully been engineered with human growth genes to make it huge. And you see the sibling next to it. And this made a huge furor. It was on the front page of these magazines, New York Times. And then a few months later, people said, well, this is interesting, but what are you going to really do with a really huge mouse? I mean, you can scare people, you know, there's a few things you can do with it, but it's not a very practical thing to have a really huge mouse. So then what happened is the United States Department of Agriculture said, well, what happens if we were to use the same experiment, but to use it with pigs? And so I went out to the USDA, here, and this is what they did. They took the human growth gene, Dr. Vern Purcell, with taxpayer dollars, and I don't know that many taxpayers knew this, actually took taxpayer dollars and took human genes, growth genes, and put them into this pig. As you can see, there's a problem. Instead of like the mouse that with human genes that grew so big, the genes work differently. The human growth genes work differently in this pig. It was cross-eyed, bow-legged, impotent. The musculature had overwhelmed it. And I could only photograph it against a plywood board here because it's the only way it could stand up. And you can imagine the suffering and how terrible this was for this particular animal. And this is another experiment, is what would happen. They were interested in taking the skin of a cow and seeing if they could genetically have a pig produce that skin. Apparently it'd be more beneficial for slaughtering. And so this is literally a pig that has a cow's skin. The researchers were very proud of that. The most important things to understand about genetic engineering is that it is really an attempt to say, listen, no matter how unsustainable our technologies, we're not going to change the technology to fit natural and living systems. We're going to change living systems so they fit the technology. We all know how horrible factory farming is, and one of the problems they have with egg-laying chickens, with hens, is they have a mothering instinct. They want to brood. And here you see one of the brain experiments, genetically engineering chickens to take out the mothering instinct from these brooding chickens, so they won't brood anymore. They won't have the mothering instinct anymore, so they'll fit the factory farm system. This is one of the chimera birds they're working with to take away the mothering instinct. So we don't change our factory farm system. We actually take the mothering instinct out of animals so that they will fit the technology.
Only research on fish made progress. Here, scientists could put their knowledge into practice more quickly, as the animals have shorter generation times, and the hundreds of thousands of eggs develop by themselves, outside the mother. A Canadian company by the name of Aqua Bounty is about to receive approval to market its genetically modified giant salmon. It has developed a salmon that is 6 times longer than the same species living in the wild, yet needs only half the time to grow.
Aqua Bounty Farms is a small development stage, research and development stage company. We don't have a product on the market yet, but we are researching a variety of different applications of biotechnology to fish farming. We're pretty much the only company in the field today. This is a picture of 3 related fish, brothers and sisters, that we developed. This is a fish that inherited the transgene, and these are its siblings that did not. This fish is about a year old, and these fish are as well. And as you can see, there is an incredible acceleration in the early life stages. These fish are just barely ready to go into salt water.